The galaxy had long believed Earth to be nothing more than a primitive backwater world, a footnote in the grand chronicles of interstellar empires. The Council of Dominion, a vast coalition of alien civilizations, had barely registered humanity's existence beyond an occasional mention in intelligence reports. Earth was classified as Category 3, unremarkable, a label given to species deemed too weak to influence galactic affairs. That was a mistake. For decades, Earth had watched in silence as the Dominion expanded, assimilating lesser civilizations or erasing those who resisted. The destruction of the Varen, a peaceful avian species who once sent Earth a warning about the Dominion's encroachment, was the final straw. Humanity would not stand idly by. The decision was made in the shadows, beyond the gaze of Dominion spies. Earth's leaders activated Project Ragnarok, a secret initiative developed over centuries of quiet technological advancement. The galaxy had assumed Earth's lack of presence meant weakness. They were wrong. Earth had hidden its true strength for generations. While the Dominion dismissed them, humanity had cracked the codes of energy manipulation, perfected kinetic warfare, and built weapons that could shatter moons. Earth had no desire to conquer, but it would not kneel. On the day the Dominion sent its ultimatum, submit, or be purged, the answer came not in words, but in action. The first sign was a sudden blackout in the Dominion's hyperspace communication grid. The Dominion, boasting the most sophisticated network of faster-than-light relays, found itself plunged into silence. Entire armadas were left blind and leaderless as command signals were severed. The second sign came from deep space. A Dominion fleet of over 4,000 warships, sent to blockade Earth, detected an unknown energy surge moments before disaster struck. From the dark void, Earth's counterstrike emerged, the Valkyrie-class warships, humanity's first revealed war fleet, each vessel bristling with experimental weapons unseen by alien eyes. They did not engage in traditional space combat. No, that was the old way. Humanity had mastered warfare beyond what the Dominion had prepared for. A single hyperlance, a weapon so precise it could punch through planetary shields as if they were paper, fired from the UNSC Titan. The lead Dominion dreadnought, an indomitable fortress that had crushed countless rebellions, was reduced to vapor in a split second. Panic spread through the Dominion ranks. Their ships, designed for brute force conflicts, were ill-prepared for the surgical devastation humanity now unleashed. Then came the third and final sign, the broadcast. Across every Dominion world, every stronghold, and every occupied planet, a message overrode their communication systems. A single human figure, clad in black and flanked by holographic displays of Earth's might, stared into the lens with unshaken resolve. This is Admiral Jonathan Cale of the Terran Defense Command. For too long, we have watched you subjugate and destroy. You thought Earth was weak. You were wrong. You stand at the precipice of a war unlike any you have ever faced. He paused, letting the silence stretch. Leave our world in peace. Or face the storm you have awakened. The feed cut out. The Dominion hesitated. They had never encountered this level of resistance from a single world. Earth was supposed to be insignificant. But now, they saw the truth. Humanity had never been prey. It had only been patient. And patience had run out. The Dominion's response was predictable, blind arrogance wrapped in the illusion of control. For centuries, no civilization had successfully defied them. No species had ever stood against their fleets and lived to tell the tale. In their eyes, Earth was nothing more than an anomaly, a minor insurgency to be crushed. Their answer came swiftly. From the depths of Dominion-controlled space, Battle Group Zaltor, an armada of 10,000 warships, mobilized toward Earth. Commanded by Grand Marshal Vorkin, a ruthless strategist infamous for erasing entire species, the fleet carried one purpose: annihilation. Within hours of departure, Dominion warships flooded Sol's outer perimeter, warping into existence like a black tide. Their target was not just Earth but every Terran-controlled installation across the system. The Dominion intended to make an example of humanity, just as they had done with countless others. But Earth was not like the others. #### the ambush. As the Dominion fleet reached the Kuiper Belt, the first anomaly struck. Their long-range scanners flickered and glitched, unable to maintain a lock on anything beyond their immediate proximity. Their artificial intelligence system stuttered, momentarily frozen by an unknown interference. Then, without warning, **** the void itself screamed, ****. The Dominion fleet's flagship, the Jarekta, a behemoth the size of a small moon, detected a massive gravitational anomaly directly ahead. Too late. The Valkyrie fleet had been waiting. From the darkened void, humanity's warships decloaked, revealing the full might of Project Ragnarok. Advanced quantum shielding technology had rendered them invisible to Dominion sensors until now. The ambush began with the Singularity cannons. Weapons unlike anything in the galaxy, these cannons compressed raw gravitational energy into devastating singularity spheres, miniature black holes that destabilized everything in their wake. The first shot was fired. A Dominion battleship at the front of the formation had no time to react. The moment the Singularity cannon struck, space around it collapsed inward, the ship crumpled into itself before vanishing into nothingness, devoured by the gravitational distortion. Panic erupted. #### the counterattack. Grand Marshal Vorkin was no fool. Though he had underestimated humanity, he was still a seasoned warlord. With a single command, Dominion ships adapted. Their formations widened, and energy shields modulated to resist gravitational shifts. The fleet retaliated, unleashing a barrage of plasma beams and antimatter torpedoes. Earth's defenses should have been overwhelmed. Instead, the Aegis defense grid activated. The Aegis grid was humanity's ace in the hole, a planetary defense system that defied conventional shielding technology. It absorbed enemy fire, redirected energy, and converted it into counterattacks. Every plasma blast hurled toward Earth was caught mid-flight, twisted into a spiraling vortex of redirected energy, and launched straight back at the Dominion fleet. The very weapons meant to destroy Earth became humanity's retaliation. Dominion ships detonated in rapid succession, their own firepower turned against them. #### the final blow. Knowing the battle was turning, Admiral Kale gave the order. Deploy the Revenant. From Earth's orbital shadow emerged a vessel unlike any other, ****, a dreadnought-class superweapon ***, built in secret within the icy depths of Titan's moon. The Revenant was not a ship, it was a mobile war platform, designed solely for planetary-scale annihilation. Its primary weapon, the Helios Lance, an energy beam capable of rupturing the fabric of space itself. The Dominion fleet had no countermeasure. A single shot fired, ***, a blinding pillar of energy that carved through the darkness like a god's wrath, ***. Grand Marshal Vorkin watched in stunned silence as half his armada was vaporized in an instant. The remainder of his fleet, those lucky enough to survive, panicked. Ships scattered, warping away in frantic retreat. Earth had done the impossible. It had defeated the Dominion's first wave. But the war had just begun. The aftermath of the battle in the Kuiper Belt sent shockwaves across the galaxy. The Dominion, for the first time in its long, brutal history, had been defeated by a single world. A Category 3 civilization, one they had dismissed as irrelevant, had shattered a Grand Dominion fleet and sent its survivors fleeing in disgrace. Such humiliation could not be tolerated. From the Dominion's throne world, Prime Archon Zalzyran, ruler of the Galactic Dominion, watched the reports in silence. His reptilian features remained unreadable, but his advisors saw the unmistakable signs of fury, his clawed hands tightening against his throne, the slow, deliberate flick of his tail. The Terrans had not just survived, they had dared to strike first, they had slaughtered Dominion warriors. And worst of all? They had done so effortlessly. This anomaly must be crushed, Zalzyran finally declared, his voice a low growl that resonated across the vast chamber. He turned to his High Warlord, Zorvax the Unrelenting, a creature whose name alone had sent entire civilizations into submission. No more games. No more underestimations. I want Earth burned. I want every trace of their species erased, ****. Zorvax did not question the order. He merely bowed, his mandibles clicking in anticipation. I shall bring the Oblivion Armada to their doorstep, my lord. The storm approaches. On Earth, Admiral Kale stood aboard the UNSC Titan, staring at the holographic projections before him. The battle had been a victory, but the war was far from over. The Dominion had thousands of war fleets. Earth had one. The Aegis grid was powerful. The Valkyrie fleet was unmatched. But against the full force of the Dominion? It would not be enough. A transmission flickered to life, a secure channel from Dr. Ilara Voss, the lead scientist behind Earth's black projects. Her expression was grim. We intercepted Dominion communications, she said. They're sending the Oblivion Armada. Kale felt the weight of those words. He had studied Dominion warfare long enough to understand what that meant. The Oblivion Armada was not just a fleet. It was a planetary extermination force. Its purpose was not conquest. It was total annihilation. If the Dominion deployed it, they would not stop until Earth was nothing but a smoldering husk. How long until they arrive? Kale asked. 3 solar weeks, Dr. Voss replied. Maybe less if they push their FTL drives beyond safe limits. Silence filled the command deck. They had won a battle. But the real war was only beginning. The last gambit. Earth's leaders knew they could not win a war of attrition. The Dominion had near limitless resources, while humanity had only one homeworld. A desperate strategy was needed, one that would change the balance of power permanently. Kale turned to the War Council. We need to take the fight to them. A murmur of disbelief spread through the chamber. Attack the Dominion? It was madness. But Kale continued. We just destroyed their fleet. That means they don't fully understand our capabilities. We need to hit them before they can regroup, ***, strike at the heart of their war machine, ***. Dr. Voss hesitated, then nodded. If we can deploy the Thanatos Protocol, we might stand a chance. The room went still. The Thanatos Protocol was Earth's final contingency plan, a weapon so dangerous, so devastating, that even its creators feared unleashing it. A quantum-based system capable of rewriting the very fabric of reality in a localized area, a warhead that could collapse an entire Dominion stronghold into pure nothingness. It had never been tested. But now? It was Earth's best hope. Kale clenched his fist. There was no turning back now. Then it settled. He turned to the fleet commanders. Prepare the Valkyrie fleet. We launch in 7 days. Humanity would not wait for extinction. It would strike first. The decision had been made. Earth would not wait for the Oblivion Armada to arrive. Humanity would take the fight directly to the Dominion. The silent departure. 7 days after the War Council's decision, the Valkyrie fleet departed from Sol under the cover of a complete communications blackout. Every transmission was masked, every jump carefully calculated to avoid Dominion patrol routes. Their target, the Forge of Karzon, the Dominion's largest shipyard and weapons manufacturing world. Without Karzon, the Oblivion Armada would never reach full strength. The Dominion had never faced a true surprise attack. Their arrogance made them blind to the possibility that a single species, one they had only recently acknowledged, would dare strike at the heart of their war machine. That arrogance would cost them dearly. The infiltration of Karzon. The Valkyrie fleet emerged from FTL just outside the system's Oort cloud, undetected by Dominion sensors. Kale stood aboard the UNSC Titan, studying the target. Karzon wasn't just a planet, it was a fortress. The shipyards orbited the world like a steel halo, each one assembling countless Dominion warships. Hundreds of stations bristled with defensive platforms, orbital cannons, and patrol fleets. A direct attack would be suicide. But humanity had no intention of fighting fair. Dr. Alara Voss, monitoring from the stealth cruiser Revenant, initiated Phase 1. A single nanite payload was released into the Dominion's planetary network. The Dominion had never encountered cyber warfare at this level. The AI-driven virus burrowed into the shipyard systems, rewriting security protocols in seconds. Within moments, all Dominion defense grids went dark. #### the Ghost Fleet awakens. With the planetary defenses crippled, the Valkyrie fleet moved in. The UNSC Phantom, a prototype warship carrying an elite infiltration unit, slipped past the remaining Dominion patrols and landed on Curzon's primary command station. Their mission: disable the shipyard's emergency response systems and trigger a cascading detonation across the orbital stations. #### the destruction begins. Inside the Dominion's control center, alarms blared. Grand Overseer Zorak, commander of Curzon, awoke to pure chaos. His fleet's shields were dropping. Entire stations were detonating in a chain reaction ****. A transmission cut through the static. "This is Admiral Kale of the Terran Defense Command. We are here to deliver a message. The days of the Dominion's rule are over." Zorak snarled. "You dare." Before he could finish, the UNSC Phantom's infiltration team triggered the final payload. The Thanatos warhead detonated. A pulse of pure quantum disruption expanded outward, consuming the heart of the Dominion's shipyards in a black void of nothingness. Everything within the blast radius simply ceased to exist. Over 60% of Curzon's shipbuilding capacity was gone in an instant. #### the Dominion's reaction. The attack on Curzon sent shockwaves through the Dominion. For the first time in their history, a civilization had struck at their core worlds, and won. Prime Archon Zalzyran watched the burning remnants of Curzon from his throne room. His empire had been wounded. His voice was quiet, but it carried a weight that shook the chamber. Unleash the Oblivion Armada. Erase Earth from existence. Across the galaxy, every remaining Dominion warship turned toward Sol. The final battle was coming. The attack on Curzon had shattered the Dominion's industrial backbone. Without its shipyards, their ability to mass-produce warships had been crippled. For any other empire, such a blow would have forced surrender. But the Dominion was not just any empire. They had never needed an industrial advantage to win wars. They had always ruled by sheer force of numbers, brutality, and terror, and now, their response would be absolute. #### the last fleet moves. In the void between worlds, a tide of darkness surged toward Sol. The Oblivion Armada had launched. 15,000 warships. 15 million troops. An entire planet-killer battle group leading the charge. This was not an invasion. This was extermination. At the heart of the Armada, aboard the dread Fortress Vortal, High Warlord Zorvax watched the star maps as Dominion forces converged. His mandibles twitched in grim anticipation. "Engage maximum FTL," he ordered. "We end this. The Dominion was coming." #### the last stand begins. On Earth, alarms blared across every major city. Humanity had known this day would come, but seeing the largest fleet in galactic history bearing down upon them was another matter entirely. The Aegis defense grid was fully activated. The Valkyrie fleet was armed and ready. But against such overwhelming firepower? Even Earth's technological edge would not be enough. In the War Council chamber, Admiral Kale studied the incoming fleet data. Every calculation pointed to the same conclusion. They would be overrun. Earth needed something more. Something final. Dr. Alara Voss stood beside him, her expression unreadable. "The Thanatos protocol was just a test," she said. "We still have one last weapon." Kale turned. "You mean?" She nodded. "The Excalibur array is ready." A hushed silence fell over the room. The Excalibur array was Earth's ultimate failsafe, a weapon so powerful that activating it might break reality itself. Developed in secret beneath the ice of Europa, it was not just a superweapon. It was a cosmic event waiting to happen. #### The arrival of doom. The first wave of Dominion warships breached the Sol system. Hundreds of capital ships warped into position, unleashing a barrage of antimatter torpedoes at Mars, Titan, and Earth's orbital defenses. The Aegis grid flared to life, intercepting and redirecting fire, but the sheer volume of destruction was unlike anything humanity had ever faced. Then, the dread fortress Vortal arrived. The Dominion's planet killer, an artificial moon of pure war, loomed over the system. High Warlord Zorvax's voice echoed across the stars. Earth. Your time is over. The Oblivion Armada began its descent. The final battle had begun. #### The Sword of Humanity. As Dominion warships pushed toward Earth, Admiral Kale gave the order. Fire the Excalibur array. Deep beneath Europa's frozen surface, hidden mechanisms roared to life. From the darkness of Jupiter's orbit, a colossal structure emerged, ****, a ring of unstable quantum energy, pulsing with power beyond understanding, ****. The array locked onto the heart of the Dominion Armada. For a single moment, time itself seemed to hesitate. Then, reality split open. A beam of pure cosmic entropy lanced across space, warping physics, unraveling gravity, and consuming everything in its path. The dread fortress Vortal never stood a chance. One moment, it was there. The next, it was gone, erased from existence in an instant. Half of the Oblivion Armada followed, vanishing into the consuming nothingness. The remaining Dominion forces panicked. They had never faced annihilation like this. Zorvax, aboard his last remaining battleship, stared in horror. "This is impossible," he whispered. The impossible had just happened. Humanity had survived. And the Dominion? The Dominion was broken. The shockwave of the Excalibur array's attack rippled across the galaxy. The unimaginable had just occurred, ****, the most advanced fleet ever assembled **** had been obliterated in a matter of minutes. The Oblivion Armada, once a symbol of the Dominion's unstoppable might, had been reduced to cosmic debris. What was left of the Dominion fleet now scattered in disarray, retreating into the deepest corners of space, forever fractured by Earth's wrath. #### The aftermath. Back on Earth, the celebrations were muted. Humanity had won, ****, but the cost had been staggering ****. The Excalibur array's activation had destabilized the very fabric of spacetime. The galaxy was now shifting under the weight of its own destruction, and even Earth's triumphant victory could not escape the consequences of such power. Admiral Kale stood on the balcony of the UNSC Titan, looking out over the glowing horizon. Earth was safe, for now. But the battle had left its scars, and the cosmos would never be the same again. He wasn't sure if humanity had just won the galaxy or if they had inadvertently ignited a firestorm that would consume everything. "We've unleashed something irreversible," Dr. Voss said, joining him on the balcony. Her voice was grim. "The quantum shift from the array, we don't know what kind of effects it will have on the galactic fabric." The Dominion's retreat was not a victory. It was a retreat from something far bigger than them. Something they can't control. Kale frowned. "You're saying the war isn't over?" "Not by a long shot," she replied. "We've seen the Excalibur array split realities, create anomalies. There are forces in the universe now aware of humanity's power, and we've just shown we aren't afraid to use it." But Kale was quiet. He had seen the fear in Zorvax's eyes when the Excalibur array fired. It wasn't just the weapon, it was the fact that humanity had fought back. The Dominion had underestimated Earth's will to survive, and now the universe would understand that Earth would never be subjugated again. Still, Kale knew that victory over the Dominion meant little if the rest of the galaxy did not see humanity's strength. The question that lingered was, would they become the next target? #### A universe on edge. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the consequences of Earth's victory were rippling through the corridors of power. On Xantha Prime, the central capital of the Zarkari Convergence, the ruling council convened in an emergency session. The Zarkari were an insectoid species known for their brutal diplomacy and mastery of manipulation. Their society was built on fear, and the fall of the Dominion had sent waves of uncertainty through their ranks. "Our greatest ally has been obliterated," said First Speaker Tlack, his chitinous armor reflecting the dim lights of the council chamber. "The Terrans, they are unpredictable. They have the power to topple empires. We must prepare. We must ensure that no other race rises to challenge our rule." He turned to his council, and the sound of clicking mandibles filled the air as the others agreed. "The Terrans are dangerous, but we will control them. All we need is leverage." Across the galaxy, the Saurians, an ancient, highly advanced race of energy-based beings, watched Earth's rise with far less fear, but far more interest. The Saurians, eternal travelers of the stars, saw potential in humanity. Their representative, Jorah Kal, stood silently at the heart of their meeting, listening to the reports from all corners of the galaxy. They have awakened a power that even we did not foresee," she murmured, her form flickering with radiant energy. "But I do not think their future lies in violence. It lies in their willingness to adapt and evolve, and perhaps, with our guidance, they will be the ones who redefine the universe." But not all factions were as contemplative. The Caranthii Dominion, a warlike civilization of massive, genetically enhanced warriors, had begun preparations for their own attack on Earth. To them, humanity's defiance was an insult to their entire existence. If there was one thing the Caranthii could not tolerate, it was a species that fought back. ###the price of victory. Back on Earth, the full implications of their victory were becoming clearer. The victory over the Dominion had fractured the galactic power structure, but it had not solidified Earth's position in the universe. Humanity had opened a door that could never be closed. The United Nations now faced questions it wasn't ready to answer. With the Dominion broken, would humanity become the new target of every warlord, alien empire, and faction in the galaxy? Earth's weapons were powerful, but could they protect against the full weight of galactic ire? And in the deepest parts of the UNSC Titan, the Excalibur array was silent, its effect still spreading. Its quantum disruption was starting to fracture the space between dimensions, and within a few weeks, anomalies began appearing, distorted rifts in the fabric of space and time each a sign that the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Kale's final thoughts before he turned in for the night were of the future. Earth had won, but the war was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The galaxy had been forever altered. The Excalibur array's wake left ripples through the very fabric of space and time, and in its aftermath, entire worlds trembled in uncertainty. The Dominion, once a symbol of unyielding power, had been crushed, leaving their allies, be they old or new, scrambling to reevaluate their place in the universe. Earth had proven it was capable of defying the odds. But what now? ###the rebirth of humanity. In the months following the obliteration of the Oblivion Armada, Earth's influence in the galaxy expanded dramatically. With the Dominion shattered and their fleets reduced to nothingness, several lesser empires and factions sought alliances with the Terran Federation, fearing what would happen if they were left to the mercy of the new cosmic order. Humanity, no longer hiding in the shadows of the galaxy, had the opportunity to reshape the universe on its own terms. But there was no mistaking that their sudden rise had made them a prime target for those who resented their power. Kale, standing in front of a massive holographic map of the galaxy, surveyed the newly forming alliances. Some had come to Earth seeking refuge, others had come hoping to manipulate the Terran Federation for their own gains. And then there were those who would see humanity burn. But what no one seemed to grasp was that Earth had changed, humanity had gone from being desperate survivors to a force to be reckoned with. "We can no longer act like the underdog," Kale said, his voice resolute as he addressed the High Council. "We've earned the right to lead, not just in defense, but in shaping this new galaxy." His hand hovered over the holographic controls, and a new, more audacious plan began to form. "It's time we stopped reacting to the galaxy's threats. It's time we make the galaxy react to us. Dr. Alara Voss, now overseeing a new quantum research division, was more focused on the unintended consequences of their actions. The rifts, Admiral. They've been multiplying, she said, her face pale. The Excalibur array's energy is still expanding, pulling the fabric of reality in strange directions. If we don't find a way to stabilize these quantum anomalies, we risk opening the universe to forces we cannot control. Despite the danger, there was no turning back. The victory against the Dominion had proven that humanity was no longer a species that merely survived. It was one that had evolved, and that evolution had created a path forward, one that would define the galaxy for centuries to come. ####the coming storm. Even as the Terran Federation began to stabilize and govern its newfound influence, shadows began to form. The Caranthii Dominion, still seething from their defeat by humanity's hands, had begun to rally their forces. The Caranthii, an ancient warrior race, considered the very concept of humanity's victory over the Dominion an insult, one they could not ignore. Their warlords, fueled by pride and bloodlust, began to form their own coalition, aiming to strike at Earth's core. And this time, they would not be satisfied with mere invasion. They wanted obliteration. But Kale knew this would not be like the Dominion War. The Caranthii were different. The Terran forces had gained a technological edge, but the Caranthii were an ancient and brutal race, their warriors unmatched in hand-to-hand combat. They would not fall to technology alone. They would test Earth's resolve, but humanity was no longer just about technology, it was about will. Earth's leaders gathered, ready for the coming conflict. "We've seen what happens when the galaxy underestimates us," Kale said. "Now it's time to send a message to the Caranthii. Humanity will not be crushed. We will be the ones shaping this universe." And then, just as the final preparations were being made, a new communication signal arrived from the Saurian Empire, the ancient, energy-based species that had watched Earth's rise with quiet intrigue. "We have seen what humanity has achieved," said Jorah Kal, the Saurian emissary. "We, too, are ancient. We, too, have seen the edge of extinction and have risen beyond it. But we will offer you an alliance, an understanding that transcends mere warfare." Kale's eyes narrowed. The Saurians had always been distant, calculating. Their motives were never clear, but this offer was intriguing. An alliance with the Saurians could shift the balance of power in the galaxy, potentially offering humanity more knowledge and power than they could have ever dreamed. But it could also be a ploy, a subtle way of leading them into a greater conflict. Still, the question remained, should they trust the Saurians, or was Earth prepared to stand alone? ####the final decision. As the Caranthii warships made their way toward Earth's solar system, Kale stood before the council once more. They had one chance to prepare for the storm coming their way. Earth's technological might was growing, but their resolve and unity would be the true weapon. If we want to shape this galaxy, we need to show the Caranthii that we will not back down. But we also need to ensure the other factions know that we are ready to walk this path with strength, Kale said. The Saurians have offered their help, but we must decide if we will stand as a single, united force or risk being torn apart by those who want to see us fall. The decision was clear. Humanity had fought and bled for their survival. They would never again be slaves to anyone. But now, Earth was at the crossroads of becoming the architect of its own destiny, or simply another victim in the great power struggles of the galaxy. The future of the galaxy now depended on what humanity chose to become. Would Earth rise as the new power, one that shaped the fate of the stars? Or would it crumble under the weight of the very forces it had unleashed? Only time would tell. The day Earth unleashed its galactic power on the universe was only the beginning. The story of humanity had just begun.